It's time for change to move into the real work of the universe. And it's time to understand that we use the matter state to reach the level of understanding of the soul of the man. Now you understand maybe why the Creator has sent his messengers in the name of whatever you have had. Is that they bring the ears that it can be used when the time of the Messiah comes. They can teach the soul and the message, not to oppose, but by them understanding through those who have become Messiahs, to give from their souls to these to elevate, the job is made easy. The school is there and the students are devotedly there. Then there won't be any fight between what they call the Muslims and the Christians. The lamb and the lion will eat and sleep in the same nest. The Christians and the Muslims will sleep and pray in the mosque and in the same church in the name of their souls, not in the name of religion that is used to create so much conflict for the benefit of those who were the hyperactive children. The time has come, the time of change is here. And as I said, my wish is my command. If it's your wish to see peace, the path of peace is laid very clearly. It's the soul of the collective awareness. By giving will create that position of change. No other thing. There is no pen in the soul of the man. And I'm sure once you go into the universal community, you will never see anything written but the balance of the fields of the soul of the existence. Try to be humble enough not to become arrogant in the power that you have understood and you possess. Otherwise, you'll fall in the same path of the church and the mosque. This is what we promised, and this is what we have delivered. We have to understand the operation of the soul, and we have to understand the soul of the man is a star in the cosmos of the universe. If we compare the soul of the man and many of us, 7 billion in one collection, Earth is like a galaxy with so many stars. When we look in the depth of the universe, we see galaxies with hundreds of millions of stars in it. So is the planet Earth. It carries 7 billion beautiful stars, which are the soul of the man. Carries with it soul of so many trillions of animals, plants, and everything else. So if you look, when someone who does not see the physicality of the earth and its content, what do they see? They see a galaxy with so many beautiful lights shining, each one according to their strength, each one according to their position. An infant has a beautiful soul, so has the old man. To those who do not see the physical dimension of this planet, but they see the strength of the field, we are clusters of stars. The human race, every single soul, no one from a distance sees that's the soul of a fisherman, that's the soul of the cosmologist, that's the soul of the president. They all shine irrespective of the physicality. This is the magic. This is what the new science has to bring to man. When we look to our soul, we see nothing but we star in the other souls. And this is the break. This is the understanding. This is what all these teachings are about. Coming to mature to the next level, to understand in the deep space, the universe is the oyster for those souls who serve. Then man is ready to go into space. Then man is ready to become part of the universal community which has been promised. I never promised you heaven. I always promised you the elevation of the man to join the family. And now you have the key. It's you who has to open the door to understand, if I can raise the soul of these people or millions of other souls, that the physical life on this planet changes, then I'm worthy to be part of the universal community. To be there to serve, to expand, to be there, to be part, that in the cycle of life of universe, I become, in being part, I become part of the totality. When man reaches that point, a new dimension in the strength of the soul of the man will appear, which is beyond imagination of understanding of the physical life. It's the gate to the opening of the new life in a new dimension, which is beyond imagination of what you might call a new beginning, a new cycle. Which that cycle carries with itself the origin of the creation of life in the universe and the universe. It's the elevation of the soul to serve become the key, not a throne of the physical life. The time is right. The time has come for the man to go through this process.
Welcome everyone to the 89th One Nation, One Planet, One Race for World Peace. It's Tuesday, October 1st, 2019. This is a broadcast of the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute Education Department, part of the Public Teachings in English. My name's Rick Crammond and I'm joined with Flint and Peggy today as co-hosts. And of course, with Carolina Keshe of the Keshe Foundation and our teacher in this workshop here for the last 88 of these 1N, 1P, 1R, as we call them. Hello, Carolina. Are you ready to begin today?
Yes, hi, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Welcome. 89, you say, or 98?
89 so far, on our way to the other.
Nearly going for 90. That's a beautiful number. I hope you all had a wonderful weekend. at least I can confirm I had a wonderful weekend, very busy, but beautiful as usual. We can say that it was a success. It was really enlightening, and I hope Mr. Keshe will share a little bit more with you tomorrow, depending on how much he can share and what he would love to share. And that's not my decision. So don't ask me any questions beyond this borderline, because I cannot. So who would like to start with what today? Any questions, any sharing on this journey? What I have to inform you all is that we are shortening the classes to 2.5 hours maximum, because the hosts and the co-hosts have done literally in the last year marathons with us. So we want to give them some more time to do and to take time out and to be able to move away from the computer, because it is exhausting. So for the teachers and the hosts and the co-hosts, out of respect, we are shortening the time of the platforms until we see there is a really need for, then we can expand on them. But this is also for the private teachings. So don't wait, don't hesitate. What needs to be done, please put it on the table that we can move forward, that we have no silences, and that we can do a lot of work. So who would love to start with opening a first topic? Or has somebody already seen something somewhere in the chain of the line of our wishes?
Hi, Carolina. Hi, everybody. It's Peggy. I was
Hi,
just
Peggy.
wondering if we could do a wish for Mother Earth to elevate her soul, and then, of course, all the souls that are with her.
Of course we can. Sorry for Topoli. Sure we can. Of course we can. That is one of the points that Mr. Keshe brought forward. He said it will get sorted, but it takes time. It is because the Earth is in a position that you can never satisfy this kind of planet or this kind of life form or existence. She receives on day-to-day basis. It's not that she's not receiving, but she's not receiving enough. And that is accumulating in what we face on problems on planet Earth. It doesn't matter in which section we are. He did this explanation at the very beginning of his teachings, that because of her position, because of the condition, the way it was all created, or the creation has set off, there is a lack of balance, which has given us a very strange view now that we can look back, because we have all the technology and the recordings and the scientists which have put their attention to. But on our own, we cannot do it. That was a very clear message from Mr. Keshe, because it has to be a continuous process, which will come into place, because you also have to understand that as Mr. Keshe is talking about a certain amount of time to achieve certain things, it means we cannot disrupt faster or reposition faster, because then we're going to create more chaos. We're going to have more problem on our hands to then to balance those things out. So there is a logic why we go at a certain pace, and that people say, why is this not coming? Why is that not coming? And some people are getting really impatient, but you got to understand the totality. You cannot, if we have, or we analyze what we have done with just the vision of the military on this planet, and how many countries are carrying military, and from one day into the next day, there is no more military. Put it this way, it's just stop, full stop. Now you have to reverse all the conditions which are related to military. So all those things have to be falling in place on time, that we cannot put millions and millions of people on the street. They have no more job, they have no more where to go, what to do, because it's finished. We have to change the conditions that they can flow into another way of serving or be at service. And they're all good, and they're all trained, and they're all specialized, because when you go in the military, there is always something you have picked up. It's a beautiful discipline if it's put the right way. They have whatever we want on this planet to be in balance, they carry it. They are equipped for education, they're equipped for medical, they're equipped in telecommunication, they're equipped in transport, they're equipped in support, in you name it, they know. So to divert such a force, which is actually and can work so positive, is already one. Then we have, if we are looking at how we are working with the Ganses and the understanding of it, and how many conditions we can reverse, then you have the next block, which is the pharmaceutical, the medical. You can imagine all these pharmacists are closing their doors, or they're going to switch. That it's still, they can provide or be like a distributor of something better. But then you have the manufacturing side from the pharmaceuticals and all the people who have invested in there. So each branch that we want to change on this planet, although we want to start with the planet, has to be taught very carefully and dealt with very carefully. We cannot just go in because we want so. It will disrupt too many lives, and that is exactly what we don't want. We don't want to have such a chaos that then we cannot come out of it so properly. So with our pockets of, pockets like our wishes, which are going in certain directions to change certain situations, have so far created beautiful results. We have the confirmation that it works. So if we create the wish for the planet, it will be a boost for the planet. We have a lot of problem domains where we can focus on and reverse or start the reversing process. Because if you understood with the last platform of the One Planet, One Race, One Nation, when we created the wish with the explanation of refugees and displaced, it's not only human beings, it's not only animals, it's so much that is out of place, out of position. But the most important thing is that if we go for like a group of refugees, that we give them the strength to start the restructuring or finding the solutions themselves within the situation they are. So that we don't shift them in an from one thing to another that they again are out of place, but that they start discovering, because we give them enough, that they can stabilize themselves so that they can find the solutions for what is needed, because the soul is at peace. And when the soul receives enough, then it puts the physicality at peace, and then people can sit down and take their time to receive more, because the burden we have lifted. Planet Earth has dealt with this situation for a very, very long time. And then because of the condition, we have actually created more problems for her than anything else. So I think that a wish for a planet, for this planet, will be more than welcome for her soul. So if anyone wants to start, I think Rick is going to have to take the platform document for the wish handy.
I did put a wish, Rick, if you can do it. I did put it into the chat, a beginning to get us started.
Okay, I see that. Thank you. Okay. Okay. Okay, we can see Peggy's wish here, which goes, I give freely to Mother Earth and her full beauty and strength. Any other comments?
Thank you, Peggy. Yep, we can maybe start the line underneath and see what the knowledge seekers would like to add to this wish.
No, Dimitri had his hand up earlier, but I think he had a separate thing, perhaps.
Yes, this is separate. Thank you, Rick.
Okay, we can wait a minute and till we get through this one, I guess.
Okay, anybody?
Marinez has her hand up there.
Mernas is back. She has her hand up.
Yeah.
Yes. Hello, everybody.
Hi.
Glad to be back. So it was short absent, but I had seen interesting things in front of me, and a good and another thing. The good thing was I was feeling like people see me differently. I was going to a place, a shrine, and there are some people who object to clothes or whatever. And these people, I was saying something to somebody about how to wear clothes, and how if we are spiritually strong, doesn't matter we are a woman or man, because we have our mind somewhere else. So, and then they were coming towards me, and they were taking pictures of me and my husband. They were inviting me things like that. I was saying, what's going on? I said to my husband, do I have something around me? very much. Excuse me very much. I'm sorry. And then it was very astonishing for me, this accepting me as somebody good. And then another thing I was noticing, when people are getting poorer, they lose their, it's not good for their integrity. And I was thinking, if we pray, for example, if I make a wish, we make a wish to erase poverty and misery related to that poverty, does it break the equilibrium, the harmony? Because everything is in harmony. Because I really think it's not good for the soul of people. It makes them do the actions by misery. And whoever creates that for people is attacking their souls. So my wish is that poverty be erased, that people can grow spiritually and they can protect their dignity. If it doesn't break the harmony some other place, I don't know how it works, the harmony between things. Hello?
Yeah, yes, we hear you.
So in a way, I wish for erasure of poverty, need, voilà. So, because it bothers the spiritual elevation, I think. It makes people be desireful of money, and it's not very beautiful.
Okay, so it's hard to make a wish for something to go away. So how could we maybe rephrase it into something that's like a solution, rather than trying to make something go away? In other words, what would be the solution for that problem, if that was a problem?
The equality of means of life, that everybody has access to what he needs to have a decent life.
A what life? Pardon me, I missed that one word.
Yes, to have a decent life.
Decent life. Mm-hmm.
Now that I think if there is bad somewhere on the earth, is because the good people are not able to react because they are poor, because they are so busy with having enough to eat or their need. That's why maybe the bad stays there. He has nothing, nobody is in front of them because they are so weak.
Okay, so not sure how to proceed here. Do we want to put down a wish about that?
Yeah, I wish that every person on earth has enough to live decently with integrity. do I add equality also or not?
With integrity and equality?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
So I guess in a way it's the same wish with the way Carolina was explaining that Mother Earth is in need of receiving more, and that seems to be the case with Marinez's wish as well, that every person on Earth has enough that receives what they need for a decent life.
In fact, I don't know if it's in the United Nations Charter or not, because it should be in United Nations Charter or something, in my opinion. It's so vital, basic.
Hello, it's Pia here. Hello,
Hi,
everyone.
Pia.
Hi.
Hi.
I will ask you if could we maybe add abundance and prosperity, because originally Mother Earth is also with such abundance from the nature and everything, and the cosmic energy coming to Mother Earth, and that's also where we should be. We will be, and could we say more about what we want to be in abundance?
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's better even. Yeah, it's better, I think.
Yeah, maybe we can add it, or
to live in abundance, right?
So
yeah.
you want to make it as part of this last wish then? Wish that every person on Earth lives in abundance, or do we leave the live decently with integrity and quality, or just say live decently with integrity and quality in abundance, or has abundance? Every person on Earth has abundance,
Prosperity and
live.
abundance, maybe prosperity and abundance enough.
May I ask some questions in regard of this wish? What is abundance? What is integrity and what is equality? Because you got to understand, if we work on soul level, the only gift we can give is the elevation of the soul. If you attach certain words, then you keep a certain condition going. Because if you ask for, as Mernas was explaining, enough food, we carry on killing.
That's right. Abundance
So
of what?
as wiser as we are becoming to work with the level of the soul, we know that the soul can position the physicality very easy and very fast. It doesn't need a matter state. Because if we go and connect the matter state in the wish, which we did not do with the last wish, is we are giving to the soul level so that the soul level then can provide it to the physicality soul, and then it finds its way and its balance because it has the chance to become peaceful. So we don't need to provide no food, no shelter, in that kind of way when we are working on soul level. We need to find a different way of nourishing and creating the field strength.
But
Because
that's
if you,
right, because, oh, sorry.
no, it's okay, go ahead.
Yeah, it's just I'm thinking it's right what you're saying, because it's like we cannot force how this balance is going to come about. It's something going on from the soul level, like you said. So there will not be too much chaos or whatever, too much killing, or so it is in a balance, like you say. Find a way this way. It's like it's not control. What can you say? It's like it's in a page from soul level. It's not us who decide how and when. It's like from a higher point of view. Isn't that so? Or you're thinking, or?
Yeah, when we work in field strength, we don't need to create no matter state. Because the matter state, or in the physicality, it will reposition itself. It will create the solution.
Yes.
So how are we going to tackle that one?
Can we use a word, I don't know, but a higher order or higher? It's coming, it's a balance from the universe. That's how the planets are running and rotating. They're hanging there. If it was not from an order from the creator or whatever the power is holding them, that must be the same as how things can develop in the moment.
But why would we send a lower order? Why do we have to refer to a higher or a lower order? Doesn't that exist? Isn't it more important to create a field strength in the understanding that we know that
That's right. We just give it over. We give it over to the fields. We give the field strength and then take it from there.
So how are we going to start this one?
Yeah.
Anybody, any ideas to start this wish? This way, please.
Oh, Caroline, this is Dimitri. Sorry, I was just looking at my wishes that I've got on my phone. What were you asking? To start what wish in regards to what, please?
You see the wish there, Dimitri, right? From Marinette.
Marinetta's wish.
Pardon me?
Yeah.
Can't hear you clearly.
Hold on. Okay, so how about we start it? I wish to give. You know, we can be specific. I wish to give, or you know, even better than I know it's Marinette's wish, so we keep it as Marinette's wish. So I wish to give from my totality of souls, the totality of field strengths necessary to elevate every soul on this planet to live decently with integrity and quality.
Okay, it's a little hard to hear some of your words there. I think your microphone is really muffled sounding, so it's hard to hear. Okay, so maybe we need to start a new rephrasing of this then. So you had the idea there.
What I'll do, Rick, I'll type it in the chat
better.
and then you can amend it.
Okay, that'd be great. And we hear you more clearly there now. Okay, we're just waiting on Dimitri's entry here. Is there any other comments?
Maybe this one we used to, I give unconditionally.
Seems like a good start.
It can always change if somebody come up with a new one, but
Okay, we have Dimitri's entry here. Put it underneath here for now. Okay, so Dimitri's wish says, we wish to give from our totality of souls, the totality of field strengths required to elevate every person so they may live decently with integrity and equality. My wish is my command. Okay, any input, comments about this? How are we going to integrate these statements here that we have? We wish to give from our totality of souls. That's a pretty big statement. Is everyone okay with that? Doug has his hand up.
Rick?
Hello?
Yeah, Rick, I wish to give unconditionally, so that adds the line above into that wish. So we wish to give unconditionally, if that can be somewhere. We wish to give unconditionally from our totality of souls.
The thing is, that we've put conditions on this wish that they live decently with integrity and equality. So, you know, we're giving, but we're giving with conditions that they live decently with integrity and equality. Does that make sense?
Yeah, we're giving unconditionally, so that the conditions of the people are improved, but we're not giving with conditions, but we're trying to change the conditions perhaps of the people that we're sending these wishes to, or so on.
Okay, yeah, I completely understand what you're saying. What that brings into the thought chain that I have there is that these wishes are coming from our soul of awareness of truth, yes, and that you know, if we have positioned ourselves to dilute our filters and embrace our soul of the man, whatever wish we make, we're going to give unconditionally, because we're using the field strength of the soul of the man. You know, there's no conditions with that little chappie. Yeah? Does that make sense?
Yep. It's just
So
let's
keep it in there. It's nice, you know. The more,
yeah,
the
I
more,
think
the more input, the better.
We're just writing down, you know, what we know to be obvious, but it's there as a wish for others to read at some stage when they read these wishes. So we are naturally, through our soul, through the soul of the man, giving unconditionally, but we can direct that unconditional, without judgment and all the rest of it, or whatever, to others in some sorts of specific ways. I think, you know, maybe I'm wrong.
You're never wrong, brother. You're
Stop it.
You know, it's where you are with your frame of motion, you know, in your evolution. We're never wrong.
Yep. Yep.
But can I ask you, are we not more directly if we say we give unconditionally instead of we wish, because when we wish, then we have to wait all the time for the wish. But if we just say we give, then the movement is just going on.
It's really
know,
interesting you say that, Pia. Okay, now this is why on my wish list, at the end of it, this is obviously my perception. It's where I am in my evolution. But at the end of my wishes, I put my wish is my command, and it is done. That and it is done is confirmation that how can I put this? God, words really are hard. I wish you could feel what I'm talking about. You know, I've chosen to, or I feel that I have expanded the frame of motion I'm working from. Okay, so when I say a wish, I'm not just working from the present. I am also, because my frame of motion has expanded, that field strength is going out to the future as well. So rather than just tackle the present, which we are doing, I also wish to send out field strengths that will arise when the time is right to continue with the wish and to implement it in its totality. Does that make sense?
Yes.
But I'm happy to. I'm happy for everything. I'm happy for everybody. I love you all. I think it's you know, expansion of where we're working from. You know, we're working from the present and we're sending field strengths out from the present, but I feel that we can do more than that as a family, and we don't just need to work from the present. I know that sounds really strange, you know, but to work, to put, you know, it's like sending out, excuse the terminology, a present, a gift, yeah? We're sending out a gift that this planet is going to unwrap further down the line in the frame of motion, yeah? So to, you know, why lock ourselves in just to working from this dimension? Why not, you know, why don't we as a family, which we obviously are doing, but, you know, expand so we work from dimensions that are not restrained by, you know, what we call time, which is frame of motion. Why not work from the future? You know, whatever situations that we wish to transmute, hit them from both directions, not just the present, but also from the future.
If we're a family, then Dimitri, maybe we should end that wish. Instead of my wish is my command, our wish is our command, perhaps, because we're sending it out. Do you think that?
Absolutely, I did put that in the chat after I put the thing.
Cool. Our wish is our command.
I think it's really important that we expand where we work from and not just be locked into, not be locked down by time, not be locked into this dimension. You know, the soul of the man and soul of awareness of the truth are not locked in by frame of motion, by time. Soul of the physicality is locked into the physicality. The physicality has X amount of years. But our other two main souls are infinite. And I think that we should, I feel that we as a family should be less bound by the conditions that we've been indoctrinated with of time. Yeah. You know, is time, I don't even like using that word anymore, literally, because it as explained by Mr. Keshe, frame of motion. And I feel why it's explained like that, because there's too much baggage associated with that word. Just the same as death. There's too much baggage associated with it. It does not have foundations for existence in the universe. They're two words that you look
Can
at it, please go on.
Yep. I noticed something, the wish from Mark Carlton. We give from our souls to elevate the souls in field strength to elevate their dimension of physicality to receive from soul of totality for balance and strength on soul level that needs of physicality and fulfilled or balanced. Can you place this on the screen, please, that if we have your permission, Mark, to work it out?
Yes, it's on there now.
Yes. I put a lot of thoughts and then I edited it a little, so it may need some work.
Okay, I'm gonna try to see. Oh yes, I can get it bigger. We give from
Here,
our
I'll
soul.
make it bigger as well.
Yeah, if you can give me slightly bigger, that would be very nice. You're jumping, Rick.
How is that? Is that a little better?
Yep, I can read it proper. You see, dimension. I'm finding things you always receive from the totality. It's how you convert the plasma field strength that you can use it somewhere. It becomes available. So we give from our souls to elevate the souls in field strength. You don't elevate their dimension. We are in a dimension. We are in existence. As Mr. Keshe explained, we have no time. Time does not exist. It's a man-made cycle to follow, to confirm their existence. So automatically when your soul receives, it can feed the physicality soul faster. So if you go under Mark's wish and start fresh, there are certain things you got to get out because they don't add up in plasma field is instant. It has no boundaries. The only thing what you create is the strength of the plasma field. And it is straightway delivered. So there is no dimension, there is no upholding of anything for that field strength, what you create as a wish on field, on plasma, to reach. So you automatically, for the purpose of what you create your wish for, will create that condition of balancing. The soul receives so it can balance the field strength of the physicality. So it doesn't need to be confirmed, because that is exactly what takes place. Because when you put too much, how do you say, details on your wish, you restrict it, you make it conditional. And the faster you learn to work with no condition, I explained it, I think it was Monday. It's like ordering a package with Amazon and you keep on changing the order. Your delivery of your package the way you want it will be delayed until the system can sort out what you actually want. A wish works the same. The more you meddle with it, the more you create orders and demands on it, the less in field strength it can be delivered. So when you create an order, a wish is like an order. You create it for a purpose to serve. When you order a package, it's for the purpose for you to receive it as fast as possible. Usually it is that way. So the more conditions you put on a wish, the slower or more taking field strength of that wish you're going to take off.
Okay, so give it a haircut.
Exactly. So what haircut do you think that it should get? Start with you yourself.
I don't know. I and tried to get somewhat comprehensive, and I thought it needed some. I was editing, but it needs further.
Sorry, you're breaking.
And shortening. We need to shorten it and edit it and direct it. And as Carolina said, I think I missed a couple things or made it a little too long or too complicated, perhaps. Direct and short, without any variance of what we want.
Right. So I would suggest something about the part that was mentioned by Carolina, to elevate their dimension of physicality. So, like, what is it we're doing with this giving from our souls to elevate the souls in field strength? And then it starts to delineate, you know, with more exactitude, to that word, to elevate their dimension of physicality, to receive, and so on and so on.
Mark,
well, the soul has to get stronger to feed the physicality, to elevate the physicality. It's not, it's weak, it's too weak. Even though it's feeding it 80%, that's not enough.
If you give from your soul, we give from soul to soul, is no need to repeat to soul of physicality or soul of you have 3 times balance. If it's balance,
Okay.
give or take what is need without thinking increase the field or decrease the field. It's balance. When it's balance, you give the other take, or vice versa. You say fulfilled
Yeah.
or balanced. Once it's balance, it's no need fulfill or balancing. It's already when you in front line.
Es necesario tener miedo o lastre. Cuando estás a dieta.
Continue.
We could give it a real crew cut, Mark, if you don't mind, and just put a full stop after field strength.
It just seemed at that point that I didn't get everything in there, but yeah, that's probably it, Doug.
And then it is short and sharp and to the point, and the rest is then taken care of because we're covering, you know, everything there. We're elevating the field strength of all souls.
Yeah, there's something to be said for that. As soon as we start to even bring in the word about the needs of the physicality and so on, it lowers that whole wish in a way.
Yeah, I question that. Yeah.
Even though that's how we started out with this wish to give. When you're giving, it's a different situation. You're not giving with the expected result of it going to the physicality.
And there are a lot of living entities and souls and so on that are not on the same physical level as us too. So you know we're sending these messages out to all souls wherever they are in whatever situation they're in. Don't you think?
Right. So that's the the ultimate way is to give for the benefit of all beings. So it doesn't have to upset the balance. You're what do they call it? Raising the tide for all. In other words, all ships rise when the tide rises. So if you're able to create that higher field strength, then everything is within that higher field strength gets raised, you could say, or elevated, or receives the benefits. So the idea being that if we try to direct the benefits to any specific event or physicality, then in a way it has a chance of backfiring because it may upset the balance that we talked about earlier. Whereas if you give for the benefit of all beings, then it doesn't, in theory, it should go out and whoever needs that or is able to tap into that higher field strength receives.
Yeah,
Well,
rich or poor, fat or thin, whatever, insect or elephant, or planet Zeus inhabitant or whatever. You're not just saying we're only interested in elevating people out of poverty, because in other places that doesn't exist, doesn't make sense. It only confuses. So if we're just dealing with an all-out effort to elevate, like you said, Rick, a beautiful analogy of the tide, we're creating a tide that will elevate everything floating on the fields, everything that's floating in creation on those tidal fields will rise. We'll move together and reposition together. If one moves, they all move. If all move, they all move.
Mm-hmm.
This is a wish for displaced people. That was my understanding. Hello?
I'm not sure if it's about displaced people, because we started out Peggy's wish about giving freely to the Mother Earth, and then Myrna said that every person on Earth has enough to live decently with integrity and equality, which didn't necessarily directly relate to the movement of peoples around the Earth. And then Dimitri's got into that people can also live decently with integrity and quality. But I'm not sure if we actually are going for the refugee and that situation in this
Okay,
case.
that's what my wish was centered around for some reason.
Okay.
But what Doug said about the, if there's not poor conditions and dirty water and all that stuff and they're living good, then there's no need for that. But I think there still is a need for that, because they're thinking that the wealth is in the pocket and everything is.
Sorry, they're thinking what, Mark? You're breaking up there.
They're thinking the wealth is in the pocket. And we know the wealth is in the knowledge in the universe, the knowledge of the universe. So they're at a disadvantage too, even though their conditions of life are good.
Yes, right. So in a way, you have to be careful what you wish for. If we get people out of poverty, they might get hung up about money. But in a way, they already are if they're in poverty. So it's I like it the way Dan had us to make things simpler. Whoops. And I like the way it ended up at this point with just to give from our souls to elevate the souls in field strength. Seems pretty clear and easy. I think I can do that, but if I have to add the other conditions onto it and a bunch of other words that I'm not totally clear on what it all means and so on, I lose my force, I guess, if I have to diffuse it too much.
Rick, it's possible feeding or elevate from the soul in physicality. It's a little bit strange, because the physicality, it's a little bit lower. No, everything is from soul. Soul is higher. You have two roads, magnetical or gravitational. But in both cases, it's flux, it's feeding one to the others. It's possible when you say I elevate, it's upping, no? It's increase. When you say elevate, you can't elevate when deplete, when it's constant, when it's not feeding opposite. Because you say it's not you, it's elevate. Okay, it's increasing, it's reinforcing, it's added in field strength. You give like a source, the other receive. It's not important, it's magnetical or gravitational. Receive anyway.
Okay,
in field strength.
Oh, go ahead.
Your physicality or the physicality is anyway receiving from the soul.
Okay, Dan.
Your soul or the other soul or the soul from the wishers.
So we were talking about elevating the soul of the planet. Now, does the soul of the planet also have a soul of physicality? Rick? Like we do? Or anyone?
Is the manifestation. It's one soul with the other soul inside, like a body with many cells, but on each cells have the proper soul. Everything is inside me, and I am part of everything, which I
But
am.
with the earth, what's the soul of physicality? What we see, the rocks, the crust, the clouds.
Yep.
I mean, some souls have no physicality, right? The earth has the soul of physicality. So correcting the soul of physicality on earth, does that elevate the soul of the planet? I don't know, because we're not working on the physicality level. But cleaning up the plastic and stop pulling the oil out and all that would seem the correct way.
So we could add
Elevate the soul of the planet.
in the totality of creation, perhaps after the souls in field strength, we could put, because Mr. Keshe is always saying we have to look at the totality of things, not just segments of things, but try to see the totality. And if we're sending out a wish or giving, we should be giving to the totality, including the Earth and then the solar system and then the galaxy and then, the totality of creation. So maybe that could be added in there.
Mark did have the word totality in the original. So
if we work for the soul of the planet, you automatically or it should be, I think, understood that if you elevate her soul, then she can elevate her physicality.
And that was what my intention of my original was. But maybe too long and too disjointed. There were too many wire nuts. We need one wire.
You never need to refer to her physicality. You need just to elevate her soul. Then she finds the solution and the balancing. With every soul that carries a physicality, it's the same principle. You feed the soul so that the soul can feed the physicality, if it is in a physical matter state. You always, on soul level, you elevate the soul. Then the soul sorts itself out. You give by elevating it and giving it the field for strength, then it can take care of itself. You don't need to dictate what it needs to do because the soul knows what to do. That was the beautiful explanation when we were working on the soul for the displaced people, for the refugees. They found the solution because you elevate their soul so they can feed the physicality, the soul of the physicality. So they found their own positioning, they found their own solution, they found their own, and that is where you give them the freedom. And that's why nothing should or has to be attached to a wish. It's simply the giving and let it go, and the purpose to serve. The purpose to serve is to elevate. What do we elevate? The soul. And which soul are we directing to elevate?
So do you think the word totality needs to come in there at the end to tie it together? It's good
no,
as
because
is.
The soul is part of the totality. It just doesn't have enough field strength to operate in its field of its physicality. But the soul itself is imperfect. It just doesn't have enough. And because we care, the whole understanding of a wish is to go back to why do you create a wish? It came in one of the soul teachings, and it says the most important thing you got to consider, we are all creators. And we are all part of the creation. And we all have part of the creator within us, otherwise we would not be able to be a creator. Now, what's the most important thing, which Stefania from the Motions frequently is repeating? She says, you elevate yourself. How can you elevate yourself? In the totality, in the creation. And as you are a creator, what's the most important thing is you elevate yourself. How do you elevate yourself? It's by giving. Giving to, because that's the purpose. What you create for it to serve is giving. Then the explanation which came in our wish, which we had problems in explaining, that's 2-3 years ago, was the more you give, the more you receive. So our working together is learning to give more, to be able to receive more, because by giving we elevate ourselves, because we give to the other part for the other part to give back to us. And because we are receiving more, we can then give more out. So you continuously are emptying your own cup in creating and making sure that it goes in the direction. But what are we learning? That it's not only the wishing for the one cup to elevate, it's the change of the direction, as Mr. Keshe brought in the Magraph teaching. He says, your first system, you give away. And I was asking him the question. He says, it's the learning of the giving freely, with no condition. You create it with pleasure, you know how to do it, you know how to assemble it, but then you give it away because it will serve so many more. So you're no longer in the request to elevate only yourself, but you look at the totality to serve, and it's from the totality you receive more. So the explanation in another way came when I asked Mr. Keshe. I said, so many souls have been crying for solutions, and it never changed, it never happened. He said, yeah. And I was shocked the way he just simply said, yeah, it cannot be. I said, did you understand my question correct? And he said, yes. Because so far, we have only wished for ourselves. We never have gone beyond for everyone to be receiving from that wish. So that's why the wish never worked. The Keshe Foundation has brought the knowledge. We are sitting together, analyzing and creating a wish for a bigger amount, for more. That is where the change is sitting. We don't need to go for a topic, we don't need to go for an object, but we can choose a group of souls to be elevated, as we did with the refugees. By giving them, we elevate their soul, that they receive so much that they can pass it on to the physicality, that they can bring the physicality into a calm, peaceful position. They won't feel hunger, they will not feel ill, they will not feel distress. If we bring them in a peaceful, balanced condition, and because the soul is providing that for that, let's say, one person, he is no longer agitated, he's no longer hungry, he's no longer disturbed. He can find the solution because he has the energy to start absorbing, to do something, to create something. That's the whole essence of a wish. You gather the field strength to serve more. If you have analyzed the wish we made for Togo, what did we do? We released the field strength. We brought so much energy to that area that they found the calmness because the souls received our package. So they passed it on to the physicality, so they calmed down enough not to be so agitated, not to be at each other's throat, not to be in each other's hair, but to be able to sit down and to solve and find the solution by communication or whatever end. But they stopped fighting. The aggression was calmed down. So they found the solution for their problem. So that is working on the understanding on soul level. You release a field strength that the soul receives. The soul is the giver to the physicality. So if that can be calmed down, then it has time to see, to think, to consider, and to find a solution. You are in no position to attach the condition of what solution he needs to find or where he needs to find it. Because in the first place, we create the soul because we know there is a disturbance. So because we have learned not to wish only for ourselves, but to learn to work and to pay attention. Where is there so much distress, and in which part is there such a distress that we sit together on the table, we create the field strength, we put it in the correct wording, that package can be delivered. But we leave the complete freedom of the source to where we send it, in what direction we are sending it, because we know they are in distress, that they then can become independent and solve their situation. Because, as I explained last time, and as Mr. Keshe explained, how much support has gone into Africa? Has it made any difference? All refugee camps, all the Red Crosses, all the UN, whatever, have they ever emptied a full refugee camp recently and send them all back home and they're all in a house and live comfortable and have food on the table, have a job and are healthy? No. Because the reason they are there is serving another purpose, which we call the hyperactive children, because they make money out of it. So we go for where we know that the need is the highest, and we release the field strength for there to go in that direction. So we elevate, so they found their own positioning because they received the field strength. It's like we are creating a very big magnet, and we are directing our magnetic field to the displaced or refugees. And then you know when you create your magnet and it's strong enough and you move it, they move because they received the field strength.
This wish of Mark is fitting like a suit. It's like a totality. It's fitting from everything. We give from your soul to elevate the soul in field strength. Point. In this manner, you have everything because you give from the others, from the other souls, to elevate. It's not important. It's for refugee. It's for Mother Earth. It's for Ghana, Africa, Togo. It's not important. You wish, you give, and the others all receive a reposition. It's strange. But it's beautiful.
Could we then change to elevate these souls to elevate all souls, perhaps?
When you elevate one soul, the others is elevate. It's like a shining, like a ray, no? Like a light. When you have the light, it's not shadow. In turn of this light, it's everything. It's white. It's brightness.
It would seem. I think you're right, Dan. It's like we only have to work with energy. never mind all these things like food and water and all that. If we give it the energy, just like if you pull the energy out of you make the CO2 GANs. If you give the energy to the CO2 GANs, it goes back into the field state. So it's got to be all around the energy and not the food or the, whatever it is, the oil that's spilled on the ground or something maybe.
It's beautiful because you give me something, and I say me, my soul. It's transfer your energy what you are giving in this wish, no, the, from the soul of soul. My soul, it's translate, it's a metamorphose, it's a yes, transfer it and create what I am need because my soul need it. You know, you don't know what my soul is needed, but my soul knowing.
Right.
This is just example, one example, selfish example, but it's an example. Thank you.
So should it be the souls or all souls? Take a vote on that.
The soul, it's only no, it's a totality and it's a individuality. No, it's enough the soul because when you have soul, it's fitting from everything, all the soul. It's inclusive. One soul, two souls, milliard of souls. It's everything. It's touching everything, all the soul.
So you put in all.
Rick, could we put in all in one go? That might be a little daring.
Or as Dan was saying, just to elevate souls and maybe not even have all in there, perhaps, just.
Is not needs to specific what soul, is not need specific how many souls, because I don't know, for me it's not strength, it's kind when I look and I am in everything and everything is inside me. It's you offer the freedom of souls to choose without condition how is manifest this giving, this energy, this receiving. It's without condition. The soul choose the position of what is needed. It's balancing. I don't know. This is what I thinking.
Right. The soul chooses the position, but like you said, but it needs the energy to do that.
And from your wish, no your we wish or your wish, but added every strength from me, from Rick, from Caroline, from every Pia and every participants. You add it in this field more and more and more and more because you give, I give, everybody giving, and what is give is for this purpose for giving. It's like empty the cup, no, like you only give it. For me personally, it's not important what's happened after I give. I don't expect returning. It's only joy from giving.
I was thinking that most of the poverty in the world is the people who had some level and they were okay with their level. Now there is a poverty which is created by the bad intention of another force, opposition. Like it's created poverty, it's created problem. So because everything there's a poverty, it's a big fortune just beside it. Like they are being abused for those who are against their intention of good living. So could we put it in our wish that I wish this prosperity and this equality in spite of other thoughts or opposite thoughts, or in spite of those opposite thoughts, because there's a force on the other side with my force. I have a wish, I get out my wish, but there is a force which has a wish against my wish to make these people, keep these people in an abused place. So maybe should we put a note about that?
No, not at all. Not at all. That's what we're trying to get away from by making it simple. And we're not putting any conditions on that about the physicality. Otherwise, it diminishes the wish from the soul, because when you give from the soul, it automatically, it's a trickle down effect. It automatically affects the physicality and the conditions and all of that. And the idea is to give from the soul without having to specify about that poverty or other condition that from the soul's point of view may or may not be even relevant.
Yeah, because I think I always said what's worse than poverty is injustice. Injustice hurts very much, but poverty by itself doesn't hurt very much.
And like you were saying earlier, the rich person doesn't necessarily have a greater soul or more of a chance of elevating themselves.
Yeah, they have more attachment to it.
I think there's something about there's a bigger chance of a rope going through the eye of a needle or something like that, is one phrase.
That's the problem these days, yeah, because they're so attached with all this respect and limousines and things attached to money and power that in no way they want to get out of it. And they do anything for it. They have no, there's no morality in a way when they get too rich, because they can't live without it. That's a bad thing. And media for young people advertises for having and spending and all that. Happiness equals having a car like this or a woman like this, So it's a battle. It's a very tight battle with the force of with the intelligence of the force of the man, a bat. They use all these things against our little poor mind.
Is the balance, is peace. You don't have anything, but you are in peace because you are content with what you are, and it's enough. The others perhaps having everything, car, home, everything, but is not happy, is not balanced. And what is the purpose? I have a piece of I don't know, bread, no, it's enough. The other have the factory of bread, but how it's eating, it's depends. It's peace from my point of view. It's the balance, it's the peace inside of you, peace with the others. It's not about the poverty, because One day I don't eat nothing. When I am happy, I don't need. I eating in the other way. I eating when I listen to you. My soul chose how feed me, where I am happy, you know?
Yes. The thing is, the piece of bread, if it becomes half a piece of bread and they have family, that becomes a strain, and they might steal for that, they might be dishonest for that, greedy for that, because it's lower than it was before. And at the same time, we see the palaces near the richer are becoming very rich, and the poorer.
When you create a wish, darling,
Yes.
what is in the commandments? Thou shalt not judge. They have a purpose to serve. The only name we can give them is the hyperactive children. That's the only name we can give them if we see something out of place. So they will fall in place if we create the field strength. But we have learned every word we are adding to opening up what is not right, we keep on feeding it. So it's like, are you going to keep on giving poison to something you want to keep alive? No. You're going to give it food, you're going to give it nourishment for it to stay healthy, to grow, and to be good. So you have to always try to feed with a field strength that it has the power and the strength to reposition itself. It's no use to look at palaces and big houses and whatever, because you keep them in their position by feeding them. By giving attention to them, you keep them where they are. What we have learned in the platforms is, we know a position like with refugees, we know a position like with Yemen, we know a position like in Togo, we know a position that there has been an earthquake, we know the position of planet Earth. So it's better to bring the wish for the solution, because we create the condition for that to solve itself. Whatever you try to attach for it to and naming it by, we just increase the field strength of it. If something doesn't exist, you cannot speak about it. You cannot keep it alive, you cannot keep it going. So where you direct your attention to, and that's your decision, you create a new condition. But if you keep on looking what was in the past and what was and what is so bad and what should change, you don't make the change. You stagnate. It's, oh, I see that is not correct. Well, I'm going to create the solution for it. That's when you start being on the move. That's when you literally are doing something about it.
So it means that it's much calmer and benefit for the person. But it means like that we should not denounce.
If we create a wish for what? For that people have no longer big houses and big cars, and it doesn't work that way. You go to opposite. You create it. You create a field strength for the soul to receive that it can reposition itself. To see the balance, to know the correctness. That's what you create with wishes.
Okay, I try and tell you the, the results. I try just, maybe that's why they do so much propaganda about their celebrities and the houses. And
But let them. Let everything to be in its own field strength. The only one who can change is if when you make the decision to bring the change, but not by wishing that this should go away or this should change, because then you just add to the field strength for it to keep it in existence.
thank you very much. Thank you.
I change only me. And when I change, everything in surround me is changing because I look different. I looking different. It's not I wish to change the others. When I change me, the other is reposition. For me, it's not important what is the others, what is make, what is doing. When your wish to change the other, it's not important to changing the others. Create a condition. I change me, and when I change me, everything is changed. When I look the beauty and I don't know, I lose the when it's saying abundance. I look in the nature, in the Mother Earth, from the animal or outside. Nothing is too much or less. It's balancing. It is what it is.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dan and Ernest.
We thank you. I'm passing.
We have Elias, I think is his name, with his hand up here. Do you want to go ahead? Elias, I think is the name. You have to unmute your microphone, so. Okay, well, not getting a response there right now, so we'll have to wait on that. Okay, anybody else with something they'd like to comment about that?
I was just thinking that talking about palaces or simple dwellings, if we're traveling in the universe and beyond, we may choose a craft that looks like a palace. If we're not doing it to it just makes us happy as we travel. And right next to us may be somebody sitting on a little tuft of grass flying along. And if there's no envy or whatever, everybody's balanced, then there isn't a problem there at all. Whether you choose a highly decorated spaceship, if you like, or a simple spaceship. If the individual soul is happy, they've chosen the particular means they wish to travel with, and there's no conflict. There is no envy. There's just a happy waving, G'day, I'm flying in my palace. Yeah, it's pretty good, isn't it? Hey, look at this. And the little guy on the tuft of grass is waving back and saying, yeah, good luck to you, fantastic. I love this one, because it's just what I want. It's got a little butterfly. It's got a little, perhaps a little pond, a little creek or something, simple. But both are happy. And maybe the person in the palace spaceship says, well, come in and have a look at my palace. And then on the other hand, the other one says, yeah, and then you can come sit on my little tuft of grass and we can spend some time in each other's situation, appreciate it. And then if we wish to go back, you know, to travel on, we can, and we wave goodbye, you know, and happy travels. What do you think?
Good one, Doug. I think that's great. Another analogy might be that lots of people love their bicycles. They love to drive a bicycle. You might say, but you can get from point A to point B faster with this fancy car here. Well, that's okay. I love my bicycle. I'm happy with that. And it really works for me. And, you know, vice versa. Why would you, you know, want to be in this car when you can be out on your bicycle? On the other hand, why not be in the car, the fancy car? The idea being, there's a saying that money is not the root of all evil, but the love of money is the root of all evil. So perhaps we can have the fancy car or the fancy palace spaceship, as long as we don't get hung up over the desire for it, you know, this is mine, and you know, that whole possession thing that can overwhelm those that love their possessions and love all the things of the physicality so much that it interferes with their ability just to be a conscious being. So that's kind of I like the analogy, Doug. That's great. And sometimes it's way better to sit on that tuft of grass and just enjoy that peace instead of the fancy palace with all of its trimmings and flashy gold toilet and all the rest of it that goes with it. So it's very nice. I'm tending to want to go with the tuft of grass at this moment, just to sit there on this little oasis and not worry about all the problems of running a huge palace spaceship, you know.
It brings to mind a situation with my brother. He was riding his motorcycle around the country and it broke down. It stopped. And he was sort of pushing it along the side of the road. And a vehicle came along, a big sort of utility vehicle, and it stopped. And the man got out and he said, "You're having a bit of trouble, mate, are you?" And he said, "Yeah, well, yeah, you know, the bike stopped." He said, "Well, look, I've got ramps on the back. Let's get it up onto the vehicle and I'll drive you to my place and we'll get this thing sorted." And they did. They loaded the motorcycle onto the back of the utility and they drove to this very well-off man. He was a wealthy man. And he had a garage that you could only dream for if you're a mechanic, you know, had all the tools in the world in there and all of the equipment. And he said, "There you go, it's yours. You do what you need to do, fix it, take your time." And he did. And then he rode away on his journey. So it was kind of a physical example of how, you know, if you're in need, somebody will pop up, and it doesn't matter if they're rich. You know, why would my brother didn't say, "Oh, and he was so rich, yeah, here I was struggling along." No, he was just joyful that he could get his problem solved, and he wouldn't have been able to without a lot more struggle without that. You know, you could say a good Samaritan just stopping by, and happened to be a wealthy Samaritan, but he was a good Samaritan. He saw a person in need. He didn't have to stop, but he did, and offered his assistance, and it was a happy ending for all.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Dimitri, I think your hand's up there.
I've got I have a dilemma in school.
Dimitri, can you get closer to the microphone so we can hear you?
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yeah, that's better.
Okay. So I'm in a bit of a dilemma with some wishes I made earlier in the week after a private class that was we spoke about prisons. We went more specific than that. We don't need to discuss that here. And I made 2 wishes in my list. But you know, if we're not, I'm going to put them in the chat and then we can discuss it because we're going to need. I don't know how. You know, I wish for this wishes to be specific. Oh God, I've just deleted it. Let me just undo that. I can't talk and type at the same time. Hold on. All right. Copy. Paste. Insert. And okay, so they're in the chat now. You know, I make wishes on a daily basis, multiple times a day to lots of things in specific and also to the totality. I'd like to make, you know, we spoke about prisons, etc., and it got me thinking. Now, you know, how do those wishes get worded not to use the word imprisoned or imprisoning, because that technically is feeding the situation. So how, you know, where angle do you approach that from?
Okay, well, we'll have to read it or put it on the wishes here in order to deal with this, so that people that are not in the Zoom understand what we're talking about. Okay, okay, I'll put them in, I guess, and we'll work with them. Okay, souls that are imprisoned on blue planet Earth. I thought you meant that everyone that comes to Earth is imprisoned here.
No. In private class, we believe it's Carolina class. The conversation.
I started to include myself as imprisoned in my little box I call my home here, and so on, and imprisoned on Earth, and that's part of our wish is to develop our spaceship to be able to get away from Earth. And in a way, if I was in a prison, that might be the ideal place to be able to do that. And there's some that say prisons are like ashrams in a way. And there's actually one spiritual group that does a prison ashram program where they give, you know, teachings to those in prisons because they treat them as monks in a prison, in a monastery rather than being in prison. So are those
So we're
souls
creating the great
imprisoned?
escape, Rick, eh? The great escape, the real great escape.
Well, in a way, yeah. Yes, I think so. I think so. I mean, or
Right.
at least, I mean, that's what going to space is kind of all about, right? So,
To make it a bit clearer, then, you know, we changed the word from imprisoned to incarcerated, and imprisoning to incarcerating, but still, it's
okay,
a
then you're
word,
talking
and it's
about
feeding the situation.
you're still talking about the physicality that's imprisoned, incarcerated, and has all these issues, not the soul, correct? The soul's already incarcerated inside the body in a way, or imprisoned inside her body. It's that void hole in the middle of her brain, basically, is what we're told is the seat of the soul. You know, doesn't mean that we have to stick with that spot.
If you wish to look at it like that, then don't worry about it. We can just delete it, because I give from my soul to the totality of souls. I was just, because of the conversation that we had in private class at that time, it moved something in me that I made wishes specifically for those people that were, as you can see, it's written there. But, you know, we can just delete it. It doesn't matter.
Well, the thing is, like we discussed before, if you elevate those that are imprisoned, well, you don't change the situation, because what about the people that are the keepers of those that are imprisoned, the ones that imprison them? Shouldn't we be elevating them?
Wish is. That's what the second wish is. We give from our totality of souls to elevate the totality of souls imprisoned on Blue Planet Earth. Our wish is our command. That's the end of the first wish.
We are never imprisoned. I'm sorry.
It's incarcerated. They're behind
We are
bars.
not. We are not.
I know that they are free. They go into different dimensions when they go to sleep. Yes, but it was a topic. It was in your class. We spoke about it, and I mentioned that everybody participating in that incarceration is stealing from their own soul.
No,
everybody.
no.
Even,
you got
even
it.
from,
You misunderstood. You misunderstood. You misunderstood the wrong way, because you're the creator. If you go from the point of understanding from the soul, you have created the physicality and the physical soul. You have created it. You're the creator of it. So your soul is free in its creation. It's that it has made a choice. It's right across Mr. Keshe's teachings. It's the choice where we are. It's how we choose where we are. That's not an imprisonment. That's not an incarceration. That's complete freedom. But you decide when you set yourself free from the state you have created. That's not an imprisonment. That's not incarceration. That's a change of field strength, change of knowledge, change of understanding. But that is not how it works. That's not how it operates, because from your soul is forever free. It has created, it's the same as we say when you create a cancer, you created the cancer because of a condition in emotional field strength has had that kind of energy to develop or create that position. But you're never incarcerated. You're never imprisoned. Because you have to go back to the explanation where Mr. Keshe explains, a soul cannot come to existence if it's not been given from the totality. So you receive all the field strength from the whole universe to come into existence. you have a commitment that you know before you accept the commitment towards the physicality in this position. You can refuse to descend, you can take it for a short period of time, or you can live a complete life, and then when you are at your maturity, the soul and you are in agreement to let go.
I do fully comprehend what you're saying, and I completely, agree with you in the totality of that. But the point I'm making with these wishes is that I wished to elevate the soul of awareness of truth of these people that we spoke about in that conversation. That's all it was.
Every
I'm just
soul
trying
knows. Every soul knows. When you talk about soul level, darling, you have to make this separation between what you cloud as in your physicality and what your soul is. Your soul is complete. It's just that where it's functioning in its physicality, it's not feeding the soul sufficient enough, or the soul is not receiving sufficient enough field strength to balance the physicality. That's why we create this package of field strength, of plasma field strength, let's say, as we did towards the refugees, so that they can reposition themselves, they come up with the solutions themselves.
And these wishes are so these people we spoke about can reposition themselves. It's the same thing. It's the same concept.
But you cannot use this kind of words.
That's my whole point. I just said we need to change the words of imprisoned or, an imprisoning to something else. That is what I asked originally.
But we are not imprisoned, so you don't need to find a new word.
Go and tell that to the fellas and brothers and sisters that are behind bars. As far as they're concerned, they are imprisoned. And I wish
nobody is
in their
existence.
You
can, darling, your state.
We can word this so we can elevate them so they come to the comprehension that they are actually free.
That is exactly the point where Mr. Keshe keeps on repeating himself. He says, I create a condition, but I do not decide what that wish will do, what the soul will do with it.
So
we are in no position to, that is attachment to the wish. That is an attachment to the field strength. You're reducing what you're trying to give. You got to give unconditionally free. No points mentioned for it doesn't work that way.
If we give from our totality of souls, that includes the soul of the man. Therefore, we don't need to put unconditional because the soul of the man gives unconditionally. There is no judgment. It gives unconditionally, like the sun.
Yeah, but why do you come down with the explanation, incarceration, imprisonment, and we have to change it because it doesn't exist?
Well, like I said to Rick, delete it.
But believe, I can hear you. I can barely hear you.
So then we just need to delete these wishes because they're not wishes that serve.
They don't serve no purpose. No.
No, that's right. So can we delete them? Thank you.
I just explained to Mernas when she was talking and referring to the castles and the poverty and the rich and the fields that create these conditions. There is no need. We don't change anything if we keep on working or getting confused between the matter state, the physicality, and the soul. The wishes, what we are trying to create is that's why we most probably keep on bumping into creating wishes. And it's time consuming because the understanding on soul level is I create my field package, I let it go, it's delivered instantly, and it serves its purpose for what purpose it needs to serve there. And I do not decide what it's going to serve, how it's going to serve, what taste or color is going to serve, because I'm working purely on a field strength. I'm a magnet with a package of energy. I know I have a field strength. I know I have God knows how many directions where I can go, but I know when I move my field strength, my magnet, I reposition, because I released my field strength by repositioning myself. But I have not sent a color out. I have not sent a taste out. I have not sent, oh, now you cannot drive a car, or you cannot live in a big castle, or you cannot fly a plane, or now you have to walk out of your prison. I don't attach those things. Those are all in the physical, in the matter state level.
Listen, I completely agree with you, and I think I'm
Working
comprehending every word you're saying, but maybe, just maybe, these sort of topics should not be brought up in private class then. It wasn't me that brought up the topic of death row, yeah, but it was me that felt that the totality of souls that take part in that.
Excuse me, Dimitri. What are you discussing? A private class discussion into a public class discussion. If you want that topic to be in a private class, you keep it in a private class, because now I have to open up why you brought it on the table, because it is in Mr. Keshe's teachings not to kill nobody, to set the soul free when it has done atrocities. You set the soul free. You have to find a different way so that the soul and the physicality can find its own solution. It has to balance itself by the death row, the death penalties. You are setting the soul free. That was the understanding in the class. Not what you're trying to create from it, darling. And secondly,
what am I trying to create from it? Exactly. What's your perception of what I'm saying?
We never discuss what happens in the classrooms into public teachings.
Okay, I fully comprehend that. I will not be bringing any wishes or any thoughts from private class into this public teachings again. I'm sorry for doing that.
Unless it serves a purpose somewhere, because Mr. Keshe has spoken about it. Death penalty is the worst thing you can do, because the ones which are taking the life by exercising the death penalty, they are creating their own field strength, which is attached by taking a life. Thou shalt not kill.
That these wishes are to elevate those people you've just spoken about.
You're mixing things which don't add up, darling. I'm sorry.
Yeah, really. I'm the one that's sorry. You don't need to say sorry.
If you replace only 2 words in this wish,
let's just delete the wishes. Yes.
No. Wait a second, Dimitri. If you replace only 2 words, it's the same thing, but it's changed the connotation. It's not imprison, because when you say imprison, you're thinking punish, something wrong, in cage, or this thing. It's not need. You saying this way, if you allow me, you give from or totality of soul, no? It's okay to elevate to totality of soul of blue planet Earth. It's perfectly. Our wish is our command. It's okay. We give from our totality, no, of your soul to elevate the totality of soul we have presently, and we'll participate this. Okay, is thinking, I don't know, this, it's enough only this little change for bringing the strength of this wish from destinatory, no, it's okay because you increase, you give, the other receive. For me, it's enough. It's fair. But when you making, like I say, depend of words, you're putting like a big cake, no, tort. You putting the knife and saying this is for you, this is for the other, this is, it's limited. When you say totality soul of totality and totality soul, you have everything. It's not a, when you say it's a problem, never it's a problem. It's only door opening. Every soul carrying all strength field and position. I don't judge. I judge myself, my soul judge me, and create one condition, specific condition. I choose the change, me, I create the other condition and replace me from the other place, no, in the space of time. It's okay?
Yeah, it's beautiful. Thank you for sharing.
Okay,
It
I
triggers
thank you.
it triggers something in my head though, you know, where we give from our totality of souls to elevate the totality of souls on blue planet Earth. Our wish is our command. You know, for instance, why if that's you know that is the case, that is our wish and that is our implementation, right? But why last week were we making wishes specific to the displaced people, our displaced family on this planet? When this, we don't, you know, you can just open this every week and just come with that wish and it's done. You know, there are some specifics, there are some angles that we're approaching this from.
You know, for me, it's beautiful because for me, it's not needed to, I thinking, no, or certain person or certain situation in the world. But I don't thinking, I thinking, but I don't specifically name it in the words. No, I don't say, oh, I want to solve one problem in Romania in my city because I see or I feel something. No, I thinking, I choose. It's like Caroline saying, it's like an alternative universe, or when you want to obtain something, no, one person, you you looking, it's sad, it's a no, you in your mind thinking, what a joy, what a happiness. It's you seeing this person when he's laughing, when it's radiate of happiness. In your mind, you're already sending this field strength. When you inside you changing and feeling, already in same instant you sending from this person. It's already changing. For this reason, I saying because I see this change inside of me, and when it's inside of me, it's outside. It's not inside of outside. It's it. It's enough. And I thank you. Thank you, Dimitri, and thank you all.
How about this, Dimitri,
Thank you,
or
brother.
anyone? I'm looking for
Can
some
you speak? Can you come closer to the microphone, please? I cannot hear you.
I'm trying to, why this machine doesn't want to do that. Is that any better?
Nope.
Sounds like it's a different microphone that's far away.
Okay, I'll mute.
Try looking at your microphone settings in Zoom under the arrow beside the mute button. Usually you can set it up.
Okay, is that any better?
No, it's still pretty
No.
weak. I can barely hear you.
Oh, that's terrible. Okay. They're both up to the max on the volumes. Okay, no problem. I know.
It's like he's in the bottom of a pit somewhere.
Okay. Okay. Let me see
Hello,
if I
Mark.
can... Is this any better?
No.
Where's your way far away now?
It's not gonna better, it's gonna bad.
I think maybe your microphone needs to be plugged in or needs to be selected in the one of the preferences, either in the system or in the Zoom.
Okay, so I'm going to try it one more time.
Nah.
One more time? No. I stay
Nope.
muted for a minute. I come back in on another system.
Okay.
Please continue.
Okay, no problem.
Okay, we're coming up on our 2.5 hour mark here, which was supposed to be the new deadline that we're shooting for.
Yep.
So I'll just keep that in mind.
You're in charge, host.
Well, I just direct things. I'm not in charge. Soul does all that. As we sort of come to the conclusion today. It's interesting that Mark's statement that we came to, we give from our souls to elevate souls and feel strength. And then with Dimitri's statement, what we ultimately come down to is basically the same statement. We give from our totality of souls to elevate the totality of souls on the blue planet Earth. So it seems like no matter what we tend to specify as our human tendency to want to help others or to alleviate specific suffering in some specific group on the planet, it seems to come back to this wish of just giving from our souls to elevate other souls. And of course, we have to elevate our own soul to get to that point of giving from our soul to elevate those other souls. So, and if that gets directed, it's almost inadvertently, it's sort of as a side issue to the main thing, which is giving. And I think that just the act of giving from the soul, it requires our full attention to do that. We don't have time to go through all the details necessarily of how that transforms and gets enacted in real life or in, among any particular group. And again, we may have to be even careful not to put that energy too much into one group or one aspect of our life, so that we keep things in balance, as we were talking about earlier.
Thank you for everything. I am present.
Thank you, Dean.
Peace be with you.
Any other comments? Elias, I see you have your microphone open. Do you want to speak?
Certainly. Can you hear me?
Yes, clearly.
Okay. It was a very interesting experience for me yesterday. I was with my family and we went out for a coffee. And I noticed there were two street people. I guess these people didn't have a house. And one was a fairly young fellow, probably in his early 20s. And the second street person was an older gentleman with a scraggly beard. And they were just lingering around. I was just wondering what. And I noticed that the first gentleman, he was very, very hyper. He was very nervous, and his movements were very exaggerated. And he came for a drink, and he was holding this drink in his hand, and suddenly he just tossed his bicycle on the sidewalk. He just sort of tossed it there, and next minute he started to shake. There was a sign nearby that the store put up for the customers. He started to basically shake it, and his intentions obviously were not very, very good. And I thought for a moment, and I wanted to elevate his soul. But interestingly enough, instead of saying, I elevate your soul so that you will stop destroying the sign, or I'll elevate your soul to pick up that bicycle, I didn't say that. I just said, brother, I elevate your soul, and I give from my soul, the totality of my soul, whatever you may need. And within 10, 20 seconds, I didn't exactly count the time, he suddenly stopped shaking that sign, and he looked down, picked up his bicycle, and he just left. And I was just amazed. And so I said, okay, let me elevate the soul of the second person that was there. Now, the second person was eating a hamburger, and he actually had a backpack which he tossed aside, like on the street. He just threw it right in the street without any regard as to someone might fall over it or a car may run over it. So I did the same thing with this gentleman. I said, I elevate the soul of my brother, and I give from the totality of my soul whatever he may need. And again, within probably a minute or so, he picked up his backpack, and he left. And both of them, as they left with a certain, they looked very serene and calm. It was just an amazing thing. And I said, wow, it's amazing. I didn't attach any conditions. When I gave for my soul, I didn't say, okay, I'm giving so that you may stop destroying this thing, this sign, or I'm giving so that you will pick up your bike. I didn't say that. I just said I give from my soul, and it automatically, they did the right thing. I was just completely gobsmacked with that.
Sorry, did you say that out loud or say it to yourself?
I said it to myself.
Okay.
As I was watching, I was with my family, and I just said it in my mind, and it was just within 10, 20 seconds, the younger gentleman stopped shaking the sign. He actually went up on it was like a trash bin, and the sign was just right next to the trash bin, and he was just like shaking it like crazy. He was going to break it or whatever. And within 10, 20 seconds, he stopped. And he picked up his bike, and he left, in a very serene way. Like he wasn't angry or anything, because prior to that, all his movements were very exaggerated, probably because he must have had something in his body that was causing that. But when he left very, very in a very calm manner, in a very calm disposition, and I was just gobsmacked. I was just amazed, and I wanted to share that with everyone.
Yeah, that's a great example. Thank you.
Yes, that brought a memory back from quite a few years ago. That one of the knowledge seekers, we knew him personally in Belgium, and he came back with a different kind of story. But he was so excited to say it to Mr. Keshe. He said, they were having a fight, literally a physical fight, you know, fist fighting and kicking and pulling on jackets and tossing people around. And he said, I was maybe 10 meters away. He said, and it just came to my mind to give. I can't remember his exact words because we were not using this kind of language yet that time. But he said, I just created the field strength of calmness. He says, I raised that field strength. And Mr. Keshe tapped his shoulder and he said, now you will start understanding. You can create this at any given moment if it's your decision to do so. Now, so many years later, I think it's 10, 12 years ago, this happened. It was a fight of drunk people, which went bad. We were not there, we didn't witness it, but he brought the story and he said, you're on the right path of understanding. Everybody can do it. And this is a beautiful example, but you have the same reaction as I tried to use it as an example before. You know, when you go in a big supermarket and you have a whole battery of cashiers and they've been there for so many hours and the only thing they hear is tick, tick, ting, tick, tick, ting, or the bleep, bleep from the scanning machine, because now they don't even need to type. They have barely any interaction anymore with the customers. So the customers don't pay even attention to the cashiers anymore. But when you go with your intent, before you reach her, to be friendly with her and to give her a smile and to pay attention how she puts her things, and she will give you a smile and you will see her face changing. That is what Mr. Keshe was trying to explain. This is working on soul level. Because you decide, and it's beautiful, you didn't have to say a word, and they receive instant. It's a marvelous way of working. That is exactly, in a simplistic way, why we are creating wishes. They work the same way, with the same beauty, and it doesn't need nothing and no specification, and you don't need to instruct for something to take place.
Could I try to speak?
Ah, he found his voice back. Yes.
No, I was just thinking of a very simple analogy where if a farmer, and what we're talking about here, and he has say he has 1,000 acres of cattle ranch. Well, he doesn't herd the cattle all back in to be fed. He puts these bundles of hay on his pickup truck. Now we know the hay is what? An energy package, Mr. Keshe says. That's all food is just an energy package. And I'm just trying to look for a similarity. So he goes around the field and he drops these energy packages off his pickup truck. Even though the cattle are grazing, he must add a little bit to them by dropping off these bundles of hay. So he goes around and does that. He doesn't tell them how much to eat or you're eating more than the other one. He just says, feed off this energy. So I think we can do that, as you said, anywhere, anytime. Not that now maybe the cow won't eat, but you can still give the energy and make it available. And that was my little point.
Good, thanks, Mark. And your voice is very clear there now. So remember those settings, whatever you did.
He came from
the older iPad works better. You know, the new stuff isn't that good. No, it's probably somewhere in the settings, but the old one just went right to work with the same setup.
Okay, well, maybe we can work with that in the background to work that out.
So you just take those energy packages as energy giving from your soul where you go, and if you sense it's needed or it's your wish, you can provide.
You're the creator. If that is not a full package, I don't know. Sometimes we just forget to use it. If we could be reminded every day, you are the creator, you are the beauty, you just remind yourself what your capabilities are. I think we will change our whole environment so fast because we do it. And the funny thing is that it brings even a surprise on our face that we are confirming our own existence in our own beauty. I hope very soon we will not need that kind of confirmation, but just go ahead and do it. And that's what I was trying to explain to Mehran. I said, just go and do. Be the difference, be that change. And you will get the taste of that beauty and you will not want to stop anymore.
I bring the chocolate. One piece of chocolate, not a truck.
Hi, it's Ursula.
Hey.
Hi to everybody. I was listening to you. I was enjoying so much all the interventions and your voice coming back, saying nothing about what we want to know, but it's okay. and I want to share what I have been living here in the Oasis province. I was just applying all what I learned, even if I did not understood it all technically, I mean, but with the soul it's much easier for me, because I was learning about the intentions for so many years with many others before, and you know, it's always coming back from all places and for all languages, and here in the Oasis I have 7,200 square meters. And I recognize that at the starting I was asking me how I will achieve this, and today I remember how many times I was just hearing my soul, being peaceful, breathing deeply, and applying all what I was learned in agriculture and plasma agriculture. And here in this place there are many practicing agroecology and all this kind of biodiversity, and young people making gardens, permaculture, and they don't know nothing about plasma culture. But okay, I was there the 14th September, and I know many people there, and I saw also Pierre Rabhi, for those who are in France know him certainly, and it was a great moment, sharing moment and opening my moment. And this is the most important, to recognize ourselves, what we are, our positioning, what we are becoming after all these teachings and learnings and applyings and sharings. And then okay, open new possibilities where we are locally. And here I am a very beautiful region. I was learning very much here. It's Avignon, 20 kilometers far. It was the Pope was here, 7 of them, And wow, it's very strong feeling, very powerful, because we know all the story and why they were here and why they go back and all what they have done. And this is cultural and very interesting what this population here can do with this. Okay, and what we can do to apply all what we learned with our family, with our friends, with our visitors, with everybody we can meet anywhere, and who you become since then you are applying this. For me, it will be 5 years now with intensive studying. And at the beginning, I didn't understand it all at all. It was only in English and with the Coca-Cola bottle also before. My God, this was for me was Chinese. So and then when you start to understand what means the soul teaching and what the Keshe Foundation and by Soul School, wow, something click in the minds and in the consciousness and in your behaviors and your values and all this and your self-confidence also, and something happens, something beautiful. And now the oasis is going on. I'm learning very much. I'm applying all what I can. And many people come here to ask me and to see, and also friends from before, before Keshe Foundation arrives in my life. And why? They saw the change. They saw maybe something different, as I saw the change in them also, of course. Different changes. We are all driving through a life and opening cage and being ourselves more and more. So it's beautiful, and I'm so grateful for all this what I become and what I am creating and co-creating in my life, in the oasis and everywhere where I go. Thank you so much. Really, thank you.
Hey, thank you, Ursula.
Thank you, Ursula. Thank you all. I think if there were no more questions, we can have a nice close. Nobody, any more questions?
There was one question in the YouTube earlier from Lucretia, who's wondering if there's any possibility that 1 month we can all do a global meditation directed by someone you assign, I think she meant there. Lucretia is from Argentina. Coherence meditation, maybe with Mr. Keshe. What do you think about that? Mr. Keshe isn't really that big on meditation as such.
We don't go for meditating because meditating doesn't help. It was explained quite a few times why meditation doesn't serve no purpose. Because you are no longer, you give your charge or your control, if you want to use that kind of words, maybe to put it in the right frame. If you have, it was explained before why meditations don't work. Meditations is they do not release the field strength of the understanding to work through the soul to create the field strength for what purpose it to serve. I explained this with a different way. You know, when people go on the street to march for a peaceful purpose, they march, but they are so distracted. They talk to their friends, they see a neighbor, hello, how are you? It's like a friendship, a big family walking for a purpose they believe in. But they don't create nothing for it to serve a purpose. Because they don't join all together in the understanding. That's why Mr. Keshe said, it should, in so many ways, it could have been understood in that way, is, how can I put it in the right wording? Yeah, I said to him, so many souls have wished and prayed and burned candles and gone to church and done pilgrimages and done this and that, and we never seen no big changes, no establishing of the change for what they are all been crying and praying for. And his answer, remember that, he said, it was never to serve more. And what Mr. Keshe keeps on repeating as well is, you got to understand. Once you understand and you acquire the knowledge of the understanding, then you can work with it. Like this gentleman just brought this beautiful, it's a gift what he did with those two homeless people, most probably, or disturbed people. That is with the awareness what you do, how you do. Mr. Keshe has released a very beautiful message in that. We have presented it before, that when you read something and you understand the knowledge about it, then you have received from that soul and you have elevated yourself when you apply the knowledge. These gatherings are all, there's nothing wrong with these people. There's the intent is there, but if they could understand my wish is my command and release that, and not a single person has to say anything. Can you imagine if you put 3 million, 5 million, 10 million souls in that position with that, only that understanding? We wish for world peace, I am present. That will bring the change. We will get there. But meditating is, you are guided. You're no longer with your own field strength of your own knowledge and your own understanding to give. Mr. Keshe has given it in very different ways of explaining with the church, the way the seats should be directed towards the door as the souls are coming in, because they are the ones that come in because they need. And it should be the ones which are present in the church to go towards and sit with the face towards the door and give from their soul to elevate by giving to every single soul that just walks in. That's how it works in reality in the correct way. We will get there. Because at every single presentation, at every single meeting, somebody has come with the proposition to meditate. And we as Keshe Foundation have always stopped it. We never allowed it. Because that is not how it works. That's not how it should be understood. Because you give your field strength to the guy who leads or sets off the meditation. You as an individual have to keep your strength in what you give and how you give. And then you add your field strength to that field where it goes.
Caroline, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Good evening or good afternoon or good morning, everyone. Like I should say, wherever you are. So this is referred to a meditation group.
It's referring to any meditation.
Because, for example, no, I found, for example, because I'm doing in the martial art where I'm studying, you know, part of it, it's meditation, no? But I found that to me, the meditation is a process to learn how to, I have no intention when I meditate, but I mean, it's not like I wish to be, I send a wish, but what happened is it's a way to, because I remember that Mr. Keshe in the Moja, no, told us when you think is not it. So the moment you think you out, you is not anymore it, no? So you have to learn how to feel and be aware of the feelings. So for me, when you know, what I call meditation, it's a way to switch off my thinking and feel, and I use it as a tool to learn how to feel without thinking. So I don't know if I make sense what I wanted to say.
I understand, but it came in one of the teachings in Barletta around my first teaching. Because I can only remember the time and the frame where we had a full week of Sajan was then interacting a lot in our classes. And he said, you only need maybe 1 minute. But meditation means to go completely quiet with yourself, to have no thoughts, to have no direction, to have just to be inner peace. Because then you give your soul, you don't consume no energy from your soul. That is literally what we still use as a word as the word meditation is, to come to such a quietness, a stillness within, that you in your physicality do not consume no energy from your soul. So you give your soul more room to communicate.
Yeah.
That's actually what the true understanding should be from meditation. It's the silence within you that you can get closer to your own soul.
Yeah.
So how do you want with so many people worldwide to go silent with yourself in a meditation for a purpose. It doesn't work, does it?
Yeah, I understand that. Yeah, it's very good clarification for me. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Also,
Yeah, because
where is the word giving in the meditation? It's all about the individual and getting into that state, and there you are. But then that just prepares you to be able to give, which is the true action, if there is any action, just giving from the soul. You just have to be open through whatever process in order to get to that point to be able to give. But still, the giving is missing in the meditation, because there you are, all connected and everything's ready to go, and that's it. It's all about me and my meditation. It's not about giving from the soul to elevate others, but it may be a way to elevate oneself, perhaps, to get to the point of being able to elevate others. I'm not sure about that.
It's after when you achieve this moment of silence, of peace, of balance. It's focusing. It's not meditating, because for me, when I say I'm meditating, it's relaxation. I balance. I achieve peace inside and outside. And after, my purpose is what? Focus, no? In making the purpose. From what reason? For, I don't know, 10 or 100 people thinking, okay, in this moment, I thinking I want to be or achieve peace or other reason, no? Purpose. Meditation, it's generally, is improperly saying session of meditation for achieving something or giving giving from our soul. It's after meditate, after peace, after silence, you are initiate of giving, you're opening.
I remember when Mr. Cash told us to, for example, if we sit, because he was said the moment you think is not it, so you have to kind of learn how to feel, you know, be aware of the feelings, since the feelings, and but he will say to us, if you sit quietly, keep the eyes slightly open, don't close completely. And I remember he said to us, if you close completely, this is what I remember. I don't say that it's correct what I remember. This is what my memories remember. He said, if you keep your eyes closed, you kind of go inside. And if you actually keep the eyes slightly open and you fix like a point in the distance, you connect it with the universe. And that is the way that it suggests us to do. So yes, so I use it as a moment to not thinking and be more aware about feelings, and therefore I can replicate them easier when I learn more about different feelings, because my understanding was that the feelings is what create condition, you know. Yeah, I don't know if I remember correct. Would you think about this?
The beauty sits in knowing that, in the phrase where Mr. Keshe says, you know, don't choose a position, everything is okay. you do not burn no energy. You don't lose from your field strength. The word meditation is to come to that field level of understanding, to be silent with yourself so that you are not consuming any energy, because thoughts are energy. So if you can reach that point of silence, that's where the beauty sits. That's where you release your soul. You open the door of your soul to give it more room, or whatever you're able to silence yourself. Meditate, learning to meditate is actually just simply learning to be still with oneself for the interaction between the physicality and the soul to be able to take place. Then the soul can show itself much easier. And there was a person who said to me, he says, that is the most difficult thing for me. He says, I have no connection with my soul. I said, how is this possible? I said, you do have connection with your soul. He looked at me, like, I said, of course. I said, I'm going to try to put it as simplistic as I can. I said, he was a man. I said, you have moved things around in your house or in your office that are very valuable for you? He says, yes. I said, so have you never received that little voice talking to you within the first 5 seconds as you're turning away from that precious object that it's going to fall? And if you didn't turn back and repositioned it, it fell or something happened to it. But when you went back and you put it in a safe place that you're happy, nothing happens to it. He says, yes. I said, who do you think is conversing with you inside your head? Because you're the only one who's hearing it, aren't you? I said, I don't hear that voice. I said, but that is your soul. At any given moment, I'm just giving you a very fraction of how your soul communicates with you. And it is there all the time. But we have a habit of, this is impossible. It was just me. I imagined it. It was my intuition. It was blah, blah, blah. Or it only happened once or so, because you dismissed it. You go to try to analyze, but your soul always responds to you within the first 5 seconds. Always. It's just a matter of learning to listen to it. And you all have that gift. In one way or another, meditation in the true sense of the understanding is to be so quiet that little voice comes more and more louder and clearer so that you can hear it as you're taking your position. And that is not a fantasy or an intuition. It's literally what is within you is communicating with you. And you're the only one who has the existence of it. So it cannot be an imagination. It cannot be an intuition. And then slowly to build up the trust that it is your soul and that it is guiding, and it gives you the signs. And those are those tiny little signs. And we have walked away from that beauty way too long. And it's time to go back to that beauty, to know oneself, when we create sufficient enough silence within us that we at least can hear that is our soul. And that is the beauty we can develop by spending time just with ourselves. I tried to explain it in so many, I even explained it in Dubai because they wanted to do meditation sessions. I said, I do apologize. I said, but it doesn't work because one is dictating 10, 15 to follow his steps So what do? You are all giving to him. Of course he's there, he's collecting. No wonder it feels so good. And you feel good because you have given. But it hasn't gone anywhere else. It hasn't gone any further, it hasn't served no purpose. It's the same as you sit and you take position in the church, the priest stands in front, and you give. It can't go nowhere. It comes back to you. Mr. Keshe has been very clear in these, in different teachings. Once you understand, then you can work with yourself. It elevates you to come closer to you because your soul wants to be known by you. And you want to know your soul, I hope. But that's the fastest path we can get there. How many times do we silence it and we walk away anywhere and we say, well, it was just something, No, stand still. And don't make something else out of it, because it's a very clear, it's the same as when you stand or you meet somebody, the first 5 seconds impression, that is what you saw, you felt, or you sensed in that other person. And then it's like you go deaf and blind and you don't notice. And then later on you said, but I had that feeling. There was that and I knew. Well, who do you think was communicating with you? And that's the beauty. You all have all experiences, not something new I'm telling you. I'm just bringing you something to stand still that you know. That's all. And I think Rick deserves his earlier release, as we are not carrying on with more than 2.5 hours maximum of our sessions, to save our hosts and to give them more time to do a lot of other things, because usually a lot of hosts are teachers or have other programs and they're wishing to have more time, and 2.5 hours of these meetings are really heavy, and we encourage you to not to have silent moments, and we have done a great job today. I thank you, all of you, to be here today. I thank my hosts and my co-hosts, and I've seen there are a lot of co-hosts today, but that's a pleasure. So this was the One Planet, One Race, One Nation for world peace. I bless you all, I love you all, and I see you next time.
Very good. Thank you very much, Carolina. And thanks to everybody who participated in today's workshop and either participating actively or by listening. Thanks to everyone for participating in the 89th One Nation, One Planet, One Race for World Peace for Tuesday, October 1st, 2019. Okay, I think that's it for today. We'll see you next week at this same time and place. And of course, for there's the plasma reactor group coming up Wednesday at 7 a.m. Central European time, as well as the Knowledge Seekers Workshop, of course, on Thursday at 9 a.m. All right, I think Flint's ready to take us out. Thanks, everyone, and bye for now.
Hello. We are the Keshe Foundation. Our mission is to bring peace on Earth and join humanity with the universal community. We wish and work to bring man as equal to all beings in the universe. By teaching plasma science and technology equally to everyone, no one is left out and no one is abused due to lack of knowledge. By donating to us, you can help achieve this goal. KesheFoundation.org/donate.